Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. And thank you always for your comments and discussion underneath the videos. It's quite warm. Again today, we're in that point of the summer in Los Angeles where it's just steady, 95 degrees every day. On most of the weather apps, it'll say, or at least here where I live, it tries to give you the 89 degrees. Not quite 90, but it actually gets to about 95 every single day. So as usual, there is just too much to cover. I was just telling a friend and, noting to a friend that there's just an avalanche of news about climate change. There is not enough time for me to read all the things I want to read and cover all the stories I want to cover. I'm missing a lot of things that I would like to put in my videos. I'm not really sure how to rectify that. I may actually start doing a few videos a day. I don't know. That's actually a possibility because there's too much news to cover. And I also like to cover political news, of course. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't really care if you like it or not because it's my channel. I hope that you like it. And I would like to cover more political things too. So I may actually start, if it's at all possible, to increase my output. Hopefully you all won't get oversaturated with my face. So let's get into some stories. Theme park mascot dies after dancing for 20 minutes in costume during Japan heatwave. At least 11 dead and more than 5,000 hospitalized from heat-related medical issues. This is from 13 hours ago. A man has died after dancing in an amusement park's mascot costume during a heat wave. In Japan, part-time worker Yohei Yamaguchi died from heat stroke on Sunday in Hirakata Park, Osaka. The costume is believed to have weighed 16 kilograms, and temperatures in Hirakata hit highs of 33.2 C. Okay, quick math. 66 plus 32, 98, 98 minus around 6. So it's about 92 degrees. I'm doing rough math. 28-year-old collapsed after dancing for 20 minutes during a full dress rehearsal, according to the Japan Times. A colleague called the emergency services at around 8 p.m., but Mr. Yamaguchi later died. Hirakata Park has canceled all mascot costume events scheduled for the summer in response to the tragedy. Good call. A spokesman said the park would investigate the cause of the 28-year-old's death and implement preventative measures. Mr. Yamaguchi was one of 11 people who died in Japan last week due to heat-related medical issues. A further 5,664 people were hospitalized, with 119 exhibiting severe symptoms of heat stroke. Temperatures in the country have rocketed since the rainy season ended earlier this month. On Monday, the highest temperature in Japan was recorded in the town of Ibigawa at 37.2 C. Ouch. What is that? It's 106. Again, minus 7. So that's like 100 degrees almost. Gosh, it gets hotter with the old global warming. Yeah. Quick science, lesson or quiz. What happens when you pump lots of carbon into the air? You trap heat. What happens when you do that for 70, 80, or 90, or 100 years? Trap a lot of heat. What happens then? It gets really hot. This is in the UK, from the Metro. Biblical floods wash away bridge and ruin homes in North Yorkshire. This is from yesterday. The worst floods in living memory have devastated parts of the UK after more than a month's worth of rain fell in just a few hours. A bridge collapsed as roads turned to raging rivers while around 100 homes were flooded. Farm animals were stranded in water-deluged fields, and a number of people had to be treated for minor injuries from flying debris. Many routes in the Yorkshire Dales have been left impassable during a violent storm that saw 18,000 lightning strikes within 24 hours. The Met Office has warned that central and northern England will be hit again today with persistent and torrential rain. They have put in place 10 flood warnings across the UK, told locals and tourists to stay indoors and brace themselves for another battering. Good God. An area of unseasonably low pressure saw North Yorkshire suffer from flash floods and get pelted with hailstones the size of pickled onions between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Some areas had more than a month's rain in that time, including Malham Tarn, which was soaked with 83.4 millimeters. The July average rainfall in the UK is 62.4 millimeters. North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service said it received around 115 calls to flooding instances in Leyburn and Reeth on Tuesday evening. A bridge over Cogden Gill collapsed on the road between Gritton and Leyburn, while parts of the railway line between Kirby Stephen and Garsdale were washed away. So, pictures of the damage. Farmer said, I haven't seen anything like this. We had a storm here about 20 years ago called Hurricane Charlie. I think this has been worse. And a festival site has been devastated. Okay, moving on. To this story, quite a few people brought to my attention, and just shows the disconnect between the wealthy and their own habits and their own part of climate change, a part in the problem of climate change. Google's celeb-obsessed search for climate change answers is a hypocritical joke. So this is from the New York Post. And I was kind of reading through some of the other articles, and I'm gathering that the New York Post is somewhat conservative. So they're very happy to poke fun at liberals or rich people trying to solve climate change, even though this is a ridiculous story. Excuse me. It doesn't get more hypocritical than A-listers jetting in on private planes to bemoan climate change at Google's private party in Sicily this week. The Gulfstreams, mega yachts, and gas-guzzling Maserati SUVs used to ferry the wokerati, around the seaside Google camp have been spewing out greenhouse gases at the rate of small nations. Former President Barack Obama, actor Leonardo DiCaprio, singer Katy Perry, and Prince Harry are said to be among 300 guests invited by Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin to their luxurious annual shindig that has been dubbed Davos by the Sea. Either they don't believe climate change is the big problem they keep saying it is, or they just don't care enough about saving the planet to give up their perks. This is a really great point, and it is very unfortunate that people who believe in climate change, that it is a problem, and wealthy liberals are, and even climate change protesters open themselves up to pretty easy pot shots from the right about their own practices. Of course, we know that people are stuck in this system. That people, we don't have any other systems in place for people to live outside of the system that destroys the environment. So it's very difficult to do anything without being a part of the system. So it's a little bit of a cheap shot. It's a pot shot and a cheap shot, and kind of a dumb cheap shot, but it's a worthy pointing out nonetheless. And unfortunately, it undermines the position of people who say they care and then get on an airplane. And that's just how it is. So it just looks bad. Anyways, they just go on to talk about how stupid and hypocritical all these people are. They can hardly lecture the rest of us on prudent management of the Earth's environment when they are burning up more than 300 gallons of diesel an hour on their private yachts or spewing tons of CO2 into the air from private jets. Whether it's the megawatts of power consumed by the sound system at a dust concert or the bright lights of illuminating the ruins of the Temple of Hera, where the Google campers dined under the stars on Monday night, their eco-indulgence knows no bounds. But here's the other side of the coin. When actual, protesters or eco-activists like Extinction Rebellion say things like, let's stop flying, or we shouldn't be driving cars anymore, pretty much the entire establishment, just their heads explode. And, oh, what are you talking about? That's insane. You people are radical, fringe, insane, communist. Oh, how could we ever? That's in America, that's un-American, or that's, just a wild, crazy idea. But yet those same conservatives will, make points like this. It's ridiculous. You gotta, which one is it? Or do you really care about the environment? You do not. But let's, flip side of that though, let's look at somebody who puts their money where their mouth is. Ba-da-ba. Sorry I didn't have this pulled up. I just realized I wanted to. So Greta Thunberg is sailing to New York to give a speech. And she's saying, I'm not going to fly. I'm going to sail in this boat to make a point. The only other scientist or activist that I hear that is doing stuff like this is Kevin Anderson. And I've got to say, it goes a long way to making your point. It goes a huge way if you actually back up your actions, back up your words with your actions. Air travel is a huge contributor to climate change. The new global movement wants you to be ashamed to fly. Wants you to be ashamed to fly. So this is Vox's way of kind of insinuating that, somebody wants to shame you for flying. How dare they? I mean, flying is a human right. We all deserve, we make money, we deserve to fly. It was 2007 during a trip to her sister in Norway's pristine Lofoten Islands when Maha Rosen had an unsettling thought and she took a breathtaking archipelago north of Arctic Circle that is dotted with mountains carved with fjords. Circled by sea eagles, she remembered she was looking at one of the fastest warming regions of the planet. And she realized that how she got there was part of the problem. Let's see. So she's talking about why she's not flying. She founded a group called We Stay in the Ground in 2018, or on the ground, excuse me, not in the ground. That's later. In 2018 to recruit people to pledge to give up flying for 1 year, but the pledge only kicks in once 100,000 people in a given country have committed to doing the same. The threshold is a way to show participants that they're not alone. For most people, this is great. This is a great program. For most people, it's to know that others have made this decision. It's really the most powerful way to make people change their minds, Rosen said. So far, more than 8,000 people around the world have made the pledge. Her effort may now be getting a boost from another Swede, 16-year-old climate change activist Greta Thunberg. She gained recognition when she went on strike from school last year to protest her government's inaction on climate change, sparking a series of worldwide demonstrations by young people. But even after becoming a global celebrity, Thunberg has led by example, traveling to events around Europe, mainly by train. On Monday, she said she's accepted a ride on a sailboat to attend the United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York. Some Swedish airports have now reported a decline in travelers. Oh, you're hurting business, Greta, which some activists attribute to the Greta effect, a newfound awareness of humanity's impacts on the planet and a desire to make a difference. Good. That's what we need to do. Put these people out of business. Screw the economy. The economy is not important. Your business is not important. Your business model is not important. The airline industry is not important. Economic stability is not important. We need to have a major reset. And it has to happen really, really soon. All kinds of businesses should be put out of commission. the fossil fuel industry. If people just stopped doing the things they're doing, we could put a lot of people out of business. And really, really force the issue. That's how people have a lot of power. The Swedes have even coined a word for shame that travelers are beginning to feel about flying. Flagskam, pronounced flygsskam. Thank you, because I have no idea. Rosen is trying to use flygskam to her advantage. She resolved last year to swallow her squeamishness about making her friends reckon with their own travel because I sort of got fed up with being more scared of being socially inconvenient than climate collapse, she said. Good job. Good job. So they're talking about how the air industry is actually set to expand wildly in the next decade. So, yeah. Unlike many other activities that contribute to climate change, air travel serves a valuable social function. It gives remote towns a lifeline to critical fuels. So safety, we need to fly because we want to keep people safe. This is when humanitarianism actually runs counter to humanitarianism, which is keeping the environment. Like, that's bullshit. If your town can't survive without air travel, then your town shouldn't exist. And you can take that line of thinking way down the if the way you live requires fossil fuels, then the way you live shouldn't be happening. And that's actually would be a good message for people who really, really want to fight climate change. Like, can you live without fossil fuels? Can you exist without them? Most people cannot. But if the way we live, if our industrial civilization requires fossil fuels for it to run, then it should not exist. Our civilization should not exist, not in the form that it does right now. If your job requires you to travel by plane, I understand that everybody needs to make a living, or do they? I don't know. These are really deep questions. These are really tough questions that people need to answer. How much do you care about the planet? I mean, I drive a car every day for work. This is a question I should be asking myself. So I'm not trying to sit here telling you that I have the moral high point on this. I do not. But these are questions that people really should start asking themselves, like individually and as a society and politically. These are questions that need to be asked, like right away. But it looks like, the Arctic is on its last legs. So I don't know. I don't know how long we have to ask these questions without definitive answers. Global emissions are reaching a record high, et cetera. Carbon dioxide. We continue to pump all this. Yeah, it's not happening. The answer is not happening. So moving on to the very last thing I wanted to cover. This disgusting ad campaign for plastic straws emblazoned with the Trump name called, what is it? Make straws great again? Yeah. Making straws great again. So this is like, basically, they're trying to mock liberals and people that care about climate change, and they're selling packs of straws with Trump on the straw for like $20, and they've literally sold like $500,000 worth of straws. You disgusting fucking people. You fucking stupid, idiotic piece of shit, garbage human beings. I try not to cuss, but I mean, I just can't help it. That's all I have for you today. I'm going to end on that. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time.